What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be tearing down this 1.6 Miata engine and doing a fully built motor. If you look in the back, I got a bunch of parts laid out. I got it all on display for you guys. As I'm talking right now, I'll show a couple clips so you guys can see everything. So first thing we got is we have a fully done up JP S14 head. If you guys don't know who JP is literally God to me. This guy has been with me since the start of Xavierjagz Performance and the YouTube channel. He is one of the best machine shops, and he's located right here in Connecticut. Now, JP does machine work for Adam LZ, TJ Hunt, Jimmy Oaks, and luckily I was able to get in with him, and he always hooks it up. So we got this badass head, got really nice H-beam rods, we got some ACL race bearings, all ARP hardware. So pretty much this is going to be video number one, and it's going to be the teardown. Now I'm going to try to make this as detailed and informative as possible from my experience, but also make it easy for you if you guys are trying to do this, if you're new to the channel or you've been watching me. I've done a bunch of Miata engines, but I never showed it step by step. So let's get going. Okay, so first things first, you're going to want to get yourself to a bare bottom end like this. Now when I say bottom end, what that means is rotating assembly. So I do have a couple more things attached right now. AC compressor, power steering, crank pulley, timing components. There's still the tensioner and pulley on here, water pump, but it's pretty torn down. I got the oil filter off with the thread itself, and then all the other stuff over here like hoses, wires, all that stuff's gone. Okay, so if you're looking at Miata engines, especially 90 to 93, the 1.6 liter, you're gonna see that the long nose is gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these slots on the crank pulley, and a short nose will have only 4, and they will be 4 big slots cut out, and that's how you know it's a short or a long nose. If you're wondering what short or long nose means, the actual snout of the crankshaft that comes out is actually a few millimeters shorter on the short nose, 91.5 to 1993. What Mazda decided to do is they realized they were shredding off the keyway that holds timing. There's a little keyway in here. Here's actually the difference between the two: short nose, long nose. Here's what happens on the short nose. So this is a long nose crank, but it had the same problem. That keyway is what holds your timing gear for your timing belt. If this is off or it moves at all, it'll throw the engine out of mechanical timing. Now this is warped completely, and this just happens on the short nose because there's not enough room. It's so tiny and poorly designed that the long nose, you can see how much bigger this is. Short nose would be about here. Basically, so you guys know, this will be going in my 1990 turbo Miata. I have a Skyline GTST turbo for it out of the RB20. This was previously on my channel and I blew it up. Rods are on the wall, and we're gonna be building a proper motor for it. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the crank pulley off, AC compressor with the bracket, power steering with the bracket, covers, and then the water pump, and then we're gonna go from there. You're gonna remove the sprocket as well as the keyway. Now this actually just came right off. So someone was in here, there's like this RTV. There's actually anti-seize on here, I could see it. Someone was in here and that never comes off that easy, but this might be a pain in the ass to get off sometimes. So be lucky if that just happened to you too. Okay, so power steering bracket, a lot of people don't know there's a bolt behind here. This is actually movable. There's some rust on this, you could sand it, but what I do is I try not to destroy it too much. I take a ball peen hammer and I just give it a little. Now that bolt is actually exposed. Same thing with the AC compressor. It's just 12 millimeters, 4 of them. And then once you get the AC compressor off, there's just a bench of 14 millimeters. So we're gonna zip all those off real quick. Boom. Idler and tensioner pulley are both a 14 as well. And then it's just like I said, it's a bunch of 12. So I'm gonna rip through this quick. Okay, now that I got it pretty much torn down, we gotta get the oil pump off and the oil pan. Then we can get to the rotating assemblies, which is pistons with the connecting rods and then the crankshaft. I would recommend if you're on an engine stand, they sell actually a thing that goes on here that catches oil. There's actually a ton of coolant and oil that's gonna be left in here. So make sure you drain it as much as you can, but there's always gonna be a bunch that spills out when you flip it over. And you'll see that very shortly. Okay, now that you got the engine flipped over, there's gonna be just a bunch of 10 millimeters. This gets a little tricky sometimes because these oil pans get stuck. It's factory RTV. They don't have a seal, which is silicone, if you don't know. We're gonna have to rip all these off. I usually use a rubber mallet. Sometimes a hammer, just go easy. This is aluminum. It's not that strong. I've seen it crack. Also, a good trick I didn't mention, get yourself a big flathead screwdriver. Just be careful not to damage this stuff and scrape it up. But usually there's a really good spot right here where you can just pry up and watch this. So you have to separate the baffle. That's the part that's really hard actually. You have to separate the actual oil pan baffling. So there's this big plate right here. So you have to separate this edge from that. This is what the oil pump tube is connected to. You'll see when I get it off. So first pry the corner up, then make sure this will be pulling up with it and you won't see it, and you gotta rip it apart. So it's just silicone, so you're not gonna break anything. Open back, turn it around, and boom. Damn, this thing's dirty. That is what happens when you do not change your oil. All right, so now what we have is we just have the oil pickup tube. This does not have to come off. This is a little 10. Just these two 10s here, be very careful with them. I like to crack them by hand. We'll get ourselves a 1/4-inch drive with the 10 mil. Just go nice and easy. All this stuff's old and sensitive. Here we go. It's that easy. And if you want, once they're cracked loose, then you can take your impact. This will make this whole job easier. Rip these off, and boom. There you have it. Ooh, would you look at that? It's cracked. Look, that is not supposed to be like that. Actually, problem discovered, boys. That is not supposed to be broken, so thank God that didn't move. What we're gonna do is actually check for some play. Check for play in these bad boys. So a little bit of side to side is okay, but we don't want up and down. This thing seems to be pretty good, but we'll never actually know until we take the damn thing apart. So what we're gonna do is break these rod caps loose. I'd also, you should break these loose by hand, but these are useless. These rods and pistons are going in a dumpster. So I'm just gonna use the impact. I'm just gonna break them all loose because they're actually all in a good position. If you put all the pistons at, oops, I dropped that. If you put all the pistons at pretty much the same exact, like right down the middle where they all line up and they're like all halfway down, you can pretty much get all these loose and knock all them out at the same time. Oh, bearings actually look super good on this thing. Look at that, guys. So, but there's a couple marks on it, but there is nothing with my nail, no scoring. So this motor was actually pretty good. What I do to get these off is I just take a hammer, kind of like tap the sides a little. Rod cap's gonna come off. Make sure you got the bearing. Yeah, these all look good. And then what I do is I'm gonna push down. Now these will fall right out, so be careful. If you can't get it with just your hand, take the wooden part of your hammer and just kind of stick it down. And then boom. And it's gonna come right out the bottom. Careful, because this is covered in oil like me, but there you have it. Okay, the oil pump can now come off. Let's give it a little pry. Boom. Now we got this crank that spins freely. All right, and the last thing to tear it down to basically a full engine block is going to be just the crankshaft. It's all these bolts. These you want to be careful with. You're going to be reusing these caps, so be careful. Now what we're going to do is you're going to want to either get a Scotch-Brite scuff pad if you don't have fancy tools. I'm lucky enough to have had this whiz wheel. There's different types of pads for this. It goes by colors, so there's like red, green, and this tan. And this is like in the middle. You don't want to use something super aggressive. This is an iron block, but we're just going to kind of give this a nice surface for the silicone to bond to when we do rebuild this engine and build it up. So yeah, I'm just going to give this a quick whiz, make all this shiny clean, and then we'll flip over the other side and I'll show you what I personally do for the block prep. All right, so the motor's completely torn down. Hope you guys learned a little bit from this video. I will have at least 2 or 3 more videos up just in the engine stuff alone. I'll be explaining everything I'm doing from the clearances of the bearings, as well as how I prepare the cylinder walls, deck the block. I will explain like what was done to the head if you're doing it yourself, all that stuff next video. But pretty much you just want to get yourself to this point torn down, because now it's ready to just have the rotating assembly put back in. So new bearings, new piston rings, which needs to be gapped, clearance everything, and I'll explain all that in the next video. But hope this helps a little bit. I know there's a ton of videos online, but a couple of you guys have been asking for me to show you my way of doing it. But it's pretty simple. It's just literally keeping track of anything. I do recommend you lay everything out either in an organizer, or you just kind of put the bolts where everything's supposed to be. But they're super, super simple. Make sure you keep everything in order, but they do have arrows on them, but just make sure you keep them in order. Everything's worn in a certain way. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, Camaro's coming back soon. We got a bunch of stuff going on here at the shop. It's crazy that I'm going to be moving, but I'm trying to get as much stuff done as possible. I'm really hoping I can get the truck going soon and start making some videos on this, hopefully as soon as next week. I've been waiting to do this with you guys for a long time, and I've just never, been in a position to do it, but we're close. So, all right, well, I appreciate you watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.